What's the path for Joe Wolf?
Probably heading towards the Queen Elizabeth.
Progressive plan for Via Sistina is the very elegant Chipping Norton into the Ranvet, into the Queen Elizabeth.
Athabasca.
Good stayer, tough, consistent, second in the Sydney Cup last year. We'll be trying to go one better.
Buckaroo will resume in a George Ryder, probably need that run, and he'll be going second up into the Queen Elizabeth.
Via Sistina celebrating her anniversary with 7 Group 1s in Australia, the greatest in the land, Via Sistina.
Athabasca, he looks like he's come back well this prep.
We couldn't have asked any more of him the other day.
I thought Buckaroo was I won't say a hidden run because he was hard to miss.
Preparation hasn't gone as planned so far. Minor little setback cost us a little bit in terms of timing, but certainly on track now.
Fangirl, Tailwolf and Gringotts, and another thriller.
Grand final, Via Sistina is the horse you want in your team.
Are you dodging anyone?
No.
Hello everyone, welcome to the barrier draws for the Queen Elizabeth and the Swept Sydney Cup. We are in the Chairman's Lounge here at Royal Randwick. It's hard to imagine we could top last Saturday's day one of the championships with so many great racing, highlights, emotional wins, but we might just do it this Saturday with 6 championship races, 10 races across the card, and it's highlighted by the $5 million Queen Elizabeth Stakes, and that field has brought together 15 acceptors, 15 to take their part in the Queen Elizabeth, and we've got 20 plus 3 emergencies for the Sweps Sydney Cup. Barrier draws to come, but would you please first welcome the CEO of the ATC, Matt Galanos.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning, everyone. Australian Turf Club and Racing New South Wales welcome you to Royal Randwick as we head towards Day 2 of the Championships and 4 more Group 1 races this Saturday. The Group 1 $5 million Queen Elizabeth Stakes is a flagship event of the Sydney Autumn and continues to be one of the highest rated Australian races in the world's top 100. And who can forget Pride of Jenny's run for the ages in last year's race? This year is shaping up as another fantastic race with Australia's best taking on international competition. The Group 1 $2 million Schweppes Sydney Cup is another time-honoured race and always provides a spectacle over the gruelling 2 miles. We wish everyone the best of luck at today's draws and on Saturday. A big thank you to our long-term partners at Schweppes for their loyalty and support of some of our biggest autumn race days, and we welcome Todd Eadie, the Business Development Manager New South Wales from Schweppes, here today. We're also very grateful for the long-term support of the Star, who are a major part of both days of the Star Championships. We welcome Von Lombard, General Manager of Marketing at the Star, here with us this morning. Thank you also to Racing New South Wales Chief Steward Steve Railton and Deputy Tom Moxham, along with our great broadcast partners in Sky. Make sure you get the tickets at theraces.com to be part of this huge day on Saturday. Thank you, and once again, the best of luck to Connections.
Thank you, Matt. Now I'll invite our stewards, Chairman Steve Railton and Deputy Tom Moxon, from which barrel? We're going to choose the barriers, okay. From Tom's barrel will come the saddlecloth numbers, and from Steve's barrel we'll ask representatives to come forward and pick the barrier. Broadcasting live on Sky Thoroughbred Central and also Sky Sports Radio. Let's get the barrier draw underway. Firstly, for the $5 million Queen Elizabeth Stakes. And the first horse out is number 9, Faulkner Park. Tyler Schiller to ride for Annabelle Neesham and Rob Archibald. Now, is Alex here? No, didn't make it. So Von Lombard is going to draw for Faulkner Park. And here's the barrier. It's barrier 6. Barrier 6 for Faulkner Park. The next horse out. Horse 15, Full Count Felicia. One of 3 runners for Yulong. Livia Wang is going to draw the barrier for Full Count Felicia. Chris Waller, the trainer. No rider declared as yet. Horse number 15 has drawn 4. Barrier 4 for Full Count Felicia. Horse number 5, Tom Kitten. Backing up from Saturday. Ben Millen will ride for James Cummings. Darren Beedman to draw Tom Kitten's barrier. Can't you reach? You want a stool? 5. Barrier 5 for horse number 5, Tom Kitten. Tom Kitten in 5. Horse 10, Middle Earth. Jamie Millen will ride for Kieran Maher. Georgia Schofield's going to draw the barrier for Middle Earth coming through the Australian Cup. Middle Earth is drawn. Barrier number 9. Barrier 9 for Middle Earth. Horse 8, Lindemann. Another one from the powerful Chris Waller camp. Nashawilla on board Lindemann. Alinda Wilson is going to draw the barrier for Lindemann. 7. Barrier 7 for Lindemann. Horse 3, Light Infantryman. The Australian Cup winner Ethan Brown, Kieran Maher. Georgia Schofield once again to draw the barrier for Light Infantryman. Horse 3 has drawn barrier 11. Barrier 11 for Light Infantryman. Number 12 is Via Sistina. Here's the favourite. James McDonald back in Australia to ride for Chris Waller, and Livia Wang from Yulong is going to draw the barrier for the long odds-on favourite. Going for 8 Group 1s. Will come out of barrier 1. The inside barrier for the favourite Via Sistina, Gate 1. Horse 6, Vauban. Tim Clark for Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott. Emma Coleman will draw the barrier for Vauban. 14. Barrier 14 for Vauban. Second to outside barrier. Horse 2, Rushem Park, the Japanese galloper. Hiroyasu Tanaka is going to draw the barrier, the trainer of this Japanese visitor. And Christophe Lemaire flies in fact he's here now, flew in this morning to ride for the very first time at Royal Randwick. And he'll do it from barrier 12. Barrier 12 in a field of 15. Horse 4, Chawolf. Chad Schofield and Joe Pride. Brad Playford's going to draw the barrier for Chawolf. One of the top fancies, third favourite, has drawn the outside gate, 15. Barrier 15 for Chawolf. Horse 13, Fangirl. Alinda Wilson is going to draw Fangirl. No rider yet. She's also, I believe, going to be accepted for in the Queen of the Turf. Barrier 8. Barrier 8 for Fangirl. Horse 1, Dubai Honour, a previous winner 2 years ago, Tom Marquin for William Haggis, the winner of the Ranvet, Izzy Paul, is going to draw the barrier for Dubai Honour, and it's 13. Barrier 13 for Dubai Honour, the second favourite, going for its second Queen Elizabeth victory, and William Haggis's 4th. Horse 14, Deny Knowledge. For Anthony and Sam Friedman. Livia Wang from Yulong, once again. Mark Zara will ride Deny Knowledge. Here is the barrier. 10. Barrier 10 for Deny Knowledge. There are 2 to go, Buckaroo and Geoglyph. Horse 7 is Buckaroo. Sophie Baker here from the Chris Waller stable to draw the barrier for Buckaroo. Tommy Berry will ride. So here's the barrier for Buckaroo. There are 2 left. 3 is one of them. And that will leave Geoglyph. So Buckaroo in 3, Geoglyph, horse 11. Also backing up from the Doncaster Damien Lane, Tetsuya Kimura is going to draw the trainer of Geoglyph. So we have 2 Japanese entrants in this year's Queen Elizabeth Stakes. And there's 1 left, and that is barrier 2, right alongside Via Sistina. So here's the barrier draw for the Queen Elizabeth, worth $5 million over 2,000 metres. Dear by Honour, barrier 13, Tom Marquand. Rusham Park, barrier 12, Christophe Lemaire. Light Infantry Man, barrier 11, Ethan Brown. Chawolf 15, Chad Schofield. Tom Kitten 5, Ben Mellum. Vauban 14, Tim Clark. Buckaroo 3, Tom Berry. Lindemann 7, Nash Ruilla. Faulkner Park 6, Tyler Schiller. Middle Earth 9, Jamie Mellum. Geoglyph 2, Damien Lane. Via Sistina, the favourite, barrier 1 for James McDonald. Fangirl, No Rider, barrier 8. Deny Knowledge, Mark Zara, barrier 10. Full Count Felicia, No Rider, barrier number 4. Visiting for the very first time here in Sydney is world-renowned jockey Christophe Lemaire, who's with Ray Thomas.
Thanks, Greg. Christophe, welcome to Sydney in Australia.
Thank you very much.
I understand you just jumped off the plane from Dubai this morning where you won the Derby, so you're bringing good form to Sydney.
Yes, definitely. I'm happy to be here. It's the first time for me in Sydney. Of course, I have a very good souvenir here in Australia, winning the Melbourne Cup in 2011 with Dunedin. So hopefully this weekend it will be again a good result for Rusham Park and all the connection.
Well, Christophe, can you tell us a bit about Rusham Park? We saw him at Del Mar. He was very good in the US Breeders' Cup turf. And can he bring that sort of form to Sydney? If he does, he's going to be hard to beat.
Yes, of course. His race in Del Mar was very good. The horse has shown on that occasion a very nice acceleration. Of course, it will be a different track, different conditions than last time in America. But he's a very consistent horse. I think he can adapt himself anywhere. He ran and won at Nakayama Racecourse, which is also right-handed course. The trip will suit him. 2,000 meters, I think it's a perfect trip for him. So we have to be very confident with him.
Short run to the first turn, you're drawn barrier 12. Where does he generally settle in his races?
He's not the quickest out of the gates, so usually he races in the middle of the pack. I think it will be the case again with this outside draw. So I'm quite happy with that outside draw because if he's got a big stride, he likes to have some space to accelerate. So I think from the middle of the pace coming on the outside, he will show what he can show his class.
And just finally, Christophe, what's your first impressions of Randwick, and also will you get a chance to walk the track before Saturday?
Yeah, we'll walk the track, of course. I haven't seen much of Royal Randwick yet, but I'm going to study a little bit.
Terrific. Welcome to Sydney, Christophe, and very best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you very much. Very excited and looking forward to Saturday.
Lovely to have you here, Christophe. Christophe Lemaire riding Rusham Park will jump from barrier number 12. Izzy Paul's about to join Ray now. She missed the first year when Adaid came out here during COVID, but she's been with William Haggis on every trip since, and Dubai Honour is trying to make it 4 for the Haggis stable in this race, the Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah, Izzy Paul, thanks for joining us. Dubai Honour, we saw him in the Tancred last Tuesday week. Absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, it was a really great performance from him. Lovely ride from Tom. Just so nice to get another Group win on the board for him. He's a very special horse, and it's great to have him back down here.
Of course, he won this race 2 years ago when he was brilliant and he beat Animo that day. How do you get him back to 2,000 metres from that 2,400 metre run and have him at that sort of form that he was 2 years ago?
I mean, it's tricky, isn't it? You know, he's been running well over 1.5 miles for the last year, and then to bring him back down to 2,000 is no mean feat. But he's in really, really good form. He was pretty fresh going into Tuesday, and he's come bouncing out of the race, which hopefully will just leave us in the best possible position. I've obviously done a terrible job at the barrier draw, but oh well. You know, that's one of the things you can't control, that and the weather. But there is a bit of rain floating about as well, which should work in our favour.
What we've seen with Dubai, I know he handles the soft and firm ground. He's run some really good times. I remember in the Randbed a couple of years ago, he was brilliant. So at least in that regard, you don't have to worry too much about the track conditions for Saturday. He'll handle whatever gets turned up on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. I just sort of hope that, you know, a bit of cut in the ground might just blunt the speed of the others, which might give us more of a chance of coming back to the 2,000 metre trip. But, you know, he's a Group 1 performer at that 2,000 metre trip, so there's no reason that he shouldn't still perform at the top level.
And just finally, the favourite is Via Cecina. She's been in awesome form this season. She's won 6 Group 1s. I dare say you saw a bit of her when she was racing in England and Ireland. She's obviously the main danger on Saturday, is he?
Yeah, absolutely. And she's obviously drawn 1, which is sort of means we're miles apart, but that's okay. Yeah, she's just a phenomenal filly, and I think I said to someone the other day, it's such a credit to Chris Waller that she's still running as well as she is at 7 years old, which I think it's quite cool to have 2 7-year-olds going up against each other, and it just shows you that they are really, really versatile and how tough they can be, and if they still enjoy racing, then you know they can have seriously long, very profitable careers.
Great to have you back in Sydney, Izzy, and the very best of luck on Saturday with Dubai Honour.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
So the story of the Queen Elizabeth Stakes barrier draw, the favourite Via Cecina draws barrier number 1, and the other favourites just behind Via Cecina have all drawn out wide. Rusham Park in 12, Dubai Honour in 13 and Chawolf in 15. It's time now to turn our attention to the Swept Sydney Cup. Over 2 miles, we have 23 in the barrel, 20 plus 3 emergencies, and here we go with the barrier draw for the 2025 Sweps Sydney Cup. Horse number 21, the first emergency, Hopeful, is Alex Turpin. You've just made it. Just made yourself a cup of tea and straight up, first in. Hopeful is Annabelle Neesham, Rob Archibald, Andrew Atkins, and here's the barrier for the first emergency with 50 kilos. Hopeful, barrier 7. Barrier 7 for Hopeful. Horse 13, Mostly Cloudy, 50 kilos for Trent Busserton and Natalie Young. Todd Eadie from Sweps is going to draw the barrier here for Mostly Cloudy. No rider has been declared as yet. I think we've got about half a dozen, maybe 8 riders that aren't yet declared in the Sydney Cup. Barrier 10 for Mostly Cloudy. Barrier 10. The next horse out, Tom, is horse 10, and that's Cleveland, 51.5. Jamie Millam and Chris Lees. Todd, if you could draw again. The Swept Sydney Cup, Cleveland, 18, barrier 18 for Cleveland. Horse 20, Waltham, 50 kilos, Matthew Smith. Wayne Spagnol is going to draw the barrier for Waltham. Horse number 20, no rider declared just yet for Waltham, but one of a number of horses down on the minimum of 50. There are 7 of those. Barrier 14. Barrier 14 for Waltham. 19, Age of Sail. Another one for Chris Lees. Dylan Gibbons, a Sydney Cup winning jockey. Todd Eadie to draw the barrier of Age of Sail down on the limit of 50 kilos. 17, barrier 17 for Age of Sail. Horse 12, Lastochka. Ben Elam is going to draw the barrier for Lastochka. Andrew Gibbons for Mick Price and Michael Kent Jr. Ben Elam to draw the barrier for one of 2 runners for the stable. They also have Warmonger. 23 for Lastochka. The outside barrier will become 20. Horse 7 is Warmonger. So we've got Cam Wansborough to draw this barrier for Warmonger. Ash Morgan, newly minted Group 1 winning rider. This one again for the Price Kent Yard. Warmonger, Queensland Derby winner by 10 lengths, is out with his mate Lastochka in 20. Barrier 20, Warmonger. 9, River of Stars, Yulong. Chris Waller trains 52 kilos, no rider declared yet. Here's the barrier for Livia Wang. 11. Barrier 11 for River of Stars. 18, Strathtay, another one for Chris Waller. Sophie Baker, come forward and take a seat up on the front lounge after this, because I think you're going to be back here about 6 times with a major contribution to this race from the Chris Waller stable. Strathtay, Jay Ford, 50 kilos. Barrier 9. Barrier 9 for Strathtay. Horse 4, Circle of Fire, last year's winner. Claudia Noonan to draw for Circle of Fire. Jason Collett will jump aboard. Of course, Andre Atzeni rode Circle of Fire to win last year for Kieran Maher. 22. 22. There's a lot of low numbers still in this barrel. Horse 2, Arapaho. Rachel King and Björn Baker. Ron Ryan is going to come up and draw the barrier for Arapaho. 56 kilos. Barrier 12. Barrier 12 for Arapaho. Horse 16. Valiant King. Chris Waller. Sophie to draw the barrier for Valiant King with 50 kilos. Another one down on the minimum. 16. Barrier 16 for Valiant King. Horse 3, Zaria. Another one from the Yulong ownership. Olivia Wang to draw. Damien Lane will ride for Chris Waller. The Derby combination from last Saturday, Zaria. 5. Barrier 5 for Zaria. 15. Birdman. Chris Waller, no rider just yet, 50 kilos. Sophie, the barrier for Birdman. Barrier 1. Barrier 1. Birdman in 1. 6. Zardozi. Darren Beedman to draw for Godolphin. Kerra McAvoy and James Cummings. 53 Zardozi. She ran so well in the Melbourne Cup. Back from Melbourne, Zardozi's barrier for the swept Sydney Cup. Barrier 3. Barrier 3 for the mare. 5. Athabaskan. Tommy Berry for John O'Shea and Tom Charlton. Gus Boyd's going to draw the barrier here for Athabaskan. 53.5 kilos. 4. Barrier 4 for Athabaskan. Horse 8. Here is the favourite. Brilliant staying performance by LL Kantz in the Chairman's on Saturday. Norman Yamin is going to draw the barrier for LL Kantz. Tim Clark rides. Gay Waterhouse Adrian Bott, 52 kilos. The red hot favourite has drawn 15. Barrier 15 for LL Kantz. Horse 1, Duke de Sessa, the Caulfield Cup winner. Harry Coffey will ride for Kieran Maher. Georgia Schofield, the barrier for Duke de Sessa. 2. Barrier 2 for Duke de Sessa. Horse 11, Francesco Guardi. Chris Waller, Sophie Baker to draw. No rider declared just yet for Francesco Guardi. Chris Waller waiting on these barriers to fall. 13. 13 for Francesco Guardi. Horse 23. Now here's the third emergency, Baccio del Mist. Todd. Edie from Schweppes. Molly Burke will ride if it gets a run for Lee and Cherie Curtis. Baccio del Mist. 21. Barrier 21 for the third emergency. So the emergencies have drawn 7 and 21. And here's the other emergency, Mr. Waterville. Sophie, if you could draw, Chris Waller trains, no rider yet. Second emergency, Mr. Waterville. This will complete our emergencies. Barrier 8. So the emergencies in 7, 8 and 21. 14, Tejanis, Chris Waller, Sophie again, 50 kilos for Tejanis. And the barrier is 19. Barrier 19 for Tejanis. And we've got one left. 17. Garachico. Robbie Dolan trying to win the Melbourne Sydney Cup double. The Irishman, Dom Sutton trains, Todd Eady to draw and reveal the last barrier at 6. Barrier 6 for Garachico. So here's the barrier rundown for the Swept Sydney Cup. Duke de Sessa, Barrier 2, Harry Coffey. Arapaho 12, Rachel Kings. Aria 5, Damien Lane. Circle of Fire 22, Jay Collett. Athabaskan 4, Tommy Berry. Zardozi 3, Kay McAvoy. Warmonger 20, Ash Morgan. Al Alcance, the favourite, Tim Clark in 15. River of Stars 11. Cleveland 18, Jamie Mellon. Francesco Gardi 13, no rider yet. Lashtochka, Andrew Gibbons 23. Mostly Cloudy 10. Tejanis 19. Birdman 1. Valiant King 16. Garachico 6. Strathtay 9. With Jay Ford, Robbie Dolan on Garachico. Age of Sales, Dylan Gibbons 17. Waltham in 14. And the emergencies, Hopeful, Mr. Waterville and Barcio Del Mist in 7, 8 and 21. OK, let's talk about the hot favourite, Al Alcance with Adrian Bott.
Thanks for joining us, Adrian. She's won the Randwick City Stakes, she's won the Mannion Cup, she's won the Chairman's Quality. She drops 4.5 into a Sydney Cup. Gee, she looks hard to beat, Al Alcance.
Yeah, look, and she's in great shape. She's come through that run on Saturday really well. Obviously, I thought that was one of her better performances this preparation. That's what we're hoping to see, just that continued improvement as we see a step up in trip, and I'd like to think we can see that same level of confidence going out to the 2 miles. She's got the pedigree that suggests that she'll stay in. She was obviously very, very strong through the line there on Saturday after sustaining a good gallop.
I was going to ask you about the 2 miles because the further she went on Saturday, the better she got. So if ever a horse looks like they'll run a strong 3,200 metres, it's this mare.
Yeah, I think all the right indications are there. Obviously, you do like to see them prove themselves first over that distance. So that's going to be a new territory for her on Saturday. But everything she's shown to date gives you every positive indication that she will.
She's drawn barrier 15 from a tricky start, the 3,200 metre start, but I think for this mare that's probably ideal, Adrian, because you want to let her roll forward and then take up a position without getting sort of stuck inside other horses.
Yeah, interestingly, she's drawn low both the last 2 starts, and she's been a little bit slow into stride and potentially could have got herself into a bit of a tricky position on a couple of those occasions. So being wide's not necessarily a concern at all. As we saw on Saturday, Tim was able to ride his own race, and that's very much what we're going to look to do with her Saturday. She's versatile. There's a number of different ways that she can be ridden, and I think that draw probably gives us the best options to be able to do so.
You've also decided to run Vauban in the Queen Elizabeth Stakes rather than the Sydney Cup. His 2 runs since joining your stable have been excellent. Just that decision to go to the 2,000 metre race rather than the 3,200 metres?
Yeah, I just think at this stage of his career and preparation, just wanted to keep him at that distance and keep trying to keep the speed in his legs at this stage of his career. And we will step out to the 2 miles at some point, obviously most likely in the spring. So this is with that type of preparation in mind. But in saying that, I still think it's the right race to be in. I think the 2,000 metres here at Randwick is obviously a strong 2,000 metre race. Sort of coming back from the 1,200 metres at Rose Hill, don't necessarily hold too much concern for that. Once again, with the draw, he's drawn out a little bit, but we did get a little bit strung up and caught up at some crucial stages there in the Tancred. So I think that'll help him with that. Relative to a couple of horses drawn around him as well, I think will aid in that, and we can make the runs when we need to, particularly coming back in trip.
2 great chances on Saturday in the 2 majors. Very best of luck, Adrian.
Thanks very much.
OK, Tim Ryan shortly with the market, the updated market for the Queen Elizabeth and also the Swept Sydney Cup. Godolphin have Tom Kitten in the Queen Elizabeth. They've got Zardozi in the Sydney Cup. Here's Darren Beeman.
Yeah, Darren, thanks for joining us. Zardozi, Gate 3. I dare say Kieran McAvoy can just settle this mare wherever he's comfortable.
Yes, definitely. She's had the benefit of the run over the 2 mile in the Melbourne Cup and outstanding performance to run fourth. She probably hasn't had the traditional racing or lead-up races to run in a Sydney Cup, but she did show a hinge of dourness in the last couple of runs. So hence the reason why James and the team have elected to go this way with her. And we know that she can run a good strong 2 mile, and if there's a bit of rain around, that'll certainly suit her, but she's a very tough mare.
And James doesn't mind doing the unusual, if I can put it that way. He did run this mare over 1,600 metres on Derby Day prior to the Melbourne Cup last spring, and as you said, Darren, she ran a blinder that day.
She did. She's just a very, very, she won her first 3 races, and any horse that can do that, you know that they're very genuine, and every time that she steps out on the racetrack, she puts in 100% effort, and it's great to have for Godolphin to have a runner in the Sydney Cup.
What about Tom Kitten? His form this autumn, I think, has been career best, and I know the form guide reads 7th in the Doncaster, but nothing went right for Tom that day, and coming to Randwick 2,000 metres, give him a bit of galloping room, watch out.
Yes, he's probably, the gate one probably wasn't ideal for him for his pattern of racing and his style of racing. He likes a little bit of room, and I think probably a key factor with this horse is that he's on the quick backup, and that'll just take the edge off him to be able to relax. And he's a winner over the 2,000 here in the Spring Champion Stakes, and he's been in stellar form all this preparation, so he's really primed to win this type of race.
Just a quick update, if I could, Darren, on Broadsiding, who trialled yesterday, and I think James's plan is to run him in the All-Age Stakes Saturday week, and he looked to trial really nicely yesterday.
He did. The form around him outstanding, and he was there. He was had a bundle of energy yesterday morning at the trials, and he's really going to be primed for the race. He's such an exciting stallion. Oh, sorry, Colt.
He certainly is. Best of luck on Saturday, Darren.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ray. Now, you had to be quick, folks. Tim Ryan had a little present for you. Lasted about 30 seconds. What did you mark Via Sistina straight after the barrier draw?
Yeah, well, Via Sistina, a horse of great interest for futures punters. She was over 80% of the total hold in futures. In reassessing the field this morning, we had a couple of extras that I didn't account for yesterday. Fangirl came into the field, and a bigger field than I quite possibly thought yesterday. So I went back up $1.90 about Via Sistina. That market opened just before the Queen Elizabeth barrier draw, and that $1.90 lasted about 60 seconds. A bet of 2,500 at the $1.90. So she went straight into a $1.80 chance. She remains that price after drawing barrier 1. Dubai Honour, I put him back up as a $6 chance. I've left him as a $6 chance despite drawing a bit wide. He's the one that I like. He's 3 for 3 in Australia, and I think he's our best hope to get Via Sistina beat there on Saturday. KO Wolf, well, he has no friends at all. Went back up $11 this morning. He was as short as $6 last week, but I haven't written a ticket for him since his last start win. He's now out to a $13 chance. Buckaroo, $15. He went back up this morning. He remains a $15 chance. You can tie a line through him through the Turnbull last preparation and Via Sistina to suggest they probably shouldn't be that far apart. So I'm expecting he might see a little bit of sport. Buckaroo. Light Infantry Man's been 15 out to 17 coming through that Tab Australian Cup, which supplied the winner last year with Pride of Jenny winning the race. Rushin Park, the Japanese gallopers, just out of touch, 15 out to 17. Fangirl, well, we'd taken her out of our market, but we put her back in this morning as a $26 chance, and she's seen a little bit of support, 26 into 21 since the barrier draw. They're out to $26 or longer, headed by Deny Knowledge and Tom Kitten and Vauban. Moving on to the Sydney Cup, and there's been plenty of action here. I haven't made a lot of changes in regards to the barrier draw. I don't think it's of huge importance. I actually think Al Kent's probably not drawn too badly, being drawn out wide there. Just for the fact that she's a little bit slowly away early in her races, and she won't get bottled up there from barrier 15, but $2.80 the price I put up straight after the barrier draw. After she drew barrier 15, we wrote about a 5,000 on her at the $2.80, so she's straight back into a $2.50 chance. Zardozi's also been popular. She drew quite well there. Nice soft gate. Put up $8 about her. I've already written a bet of 2,000 on her at $8, so she firms as well into a $7 chance. Duke de Sessa drew well. He's an $11 chance. Circle of Fire drew poorly. He's just out of touch, 11 out to 13. $15 about Arapaho, Birdman, Then we're out to $17, River of Stars and Valiant King. Strathay's seen a little bit of early support as a $26 chance. He's on the same line there as Tajanus. We're out to $31 or longer. Athabaskan heading those. But wrapping up, Al Cans and Zardozi, good early firms, 280 into 250 and 8 into 7 for the Sydney Cup. And Via Sistina already 190 into 180 for the Queen Elizabeth.
So we've got two dominant favourites for those two races, and coming out very soon, if not, they might already be out, but they will be out very soon. The Oaks favourite, Treasure of the Moment's going to be short. Arrowfield, Autumn Glow's going to be very short. You're looking at four dominant favourites in four big races.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Autumn Glow might be the shortest of the lot of them. She's the second best back runner on the card behind Via Sistina leading up to yesterday. She was already into 160 last night. And yeah, Treasure of the Moment was a 170 chance when all in betting closed for that Australian Oaks. So yeah, 3 odds-on chances there and another shorty in the Sydney Cup. It could be a bit of a feast or a famine on Saturday.
Okay. I don't believe that Aliana is going to accept for the Oaks. About half an hour ago it hadn't accepted. So Treasure of the Moment is going to be that dominant favourite in the Oaks. So coming out later this morning, very, very soon, we'll have 4 more barrier draws. We will have the Oaks, the Queen of the Turf, the Arrowfield, and also the Percy Sykes for the 2-year-old fillies. And then the remaining 4 races will be out at the normal time tomorrow. So 6 races out, full acceptances, 4 barrier draws today. Check the Racing Australia and Racing New South Wales website. So that's it. The barrier draws for another outstanding day of racing coming up. Day 2 of the Championships, and you'll see it right here on Sky Thoroughbred Central.